Before we get started on this video, I just want to go ahead and explain to you guys exactly how this video is going to go. Number one, I'm going to explain to you guys why it is what Keith Olbermann said was completely bat crap crazy. Number two, I'm going to explain to you guys why he himself is bat crap crazy. I'm also going to be explaining in this video some of the initial problems you would have with what he said as far as his premise of they should just starve red states out. Yeah. Also, not to mention the fact that the red states have got all the guns. I just want to go ahead and throw that out there. I don't even think I'm going to need that argument there to kind of sort of clamp down this, but make sure you guys stick around for the full video.
Billions of dollars in profits off guns to destroy the gun lobby, the death lobby, and the Republican Party that defends those lobbies and those businesses. And the only way to do that is an economic civil war. The blue states have all the money. They must starve the red states.
If you're out there, and I mean you're out there, and you still take Keith Olbermann serious, then you seriously need to go see somebody. So Keith Olbermann, who by the way was Osama bin Laden's favorite news anchor, is at it again. Now guys, really quick, before we talk about what he was saying about starving out red states, which is insanely ridiculous, before we go through the whole notion of him going after Marjorie Taylor Greene over national divorce, which by the way I did do a video on, and I also did a video on why the left and mental illness is synonymous. Don't worry, I'll try to leave both of those videos either A, in the description box, or B, at least one in the comment section for you guys to check out. But let me go ahead and say this really quick. Anybody who takes Keith Olbermann serious at this moment in time is probably messed up in the head somehow, or at least messed up emotionally. Now guys, Keith Olbermann has a history of saying crazy crap like what I'm about to show you right now, or that little tidbit that you saw earlier. So he went after Fox News the other day, which is not really surprising because Fox News typically tends to be the number one thing that he goes after, even though the Dominion lawsuit kind of sort of may be indicative of why it is that conservatives should leave Fox, because they don't exactly have your best interest at mind, especially given how they have been censoring the previous president, and now they're trying to push their preferred candidate in Ron DeSantis, which I think is extremely shady, at least as far as I'm concerned. The business practices, of course, but don't worry, it's probably a separate video, and I'll probably even do a separate video next week on the difference between red states and blue states as far as money being spent and what would actually happen if something was to go on in this country. It would be a bit of a series, so make sure you guys stick around for that. So Keith, of course, he goes on one of his normal rants, and of course, it's absolutely stupid to even fathom, and I'll explain why on the other side.
We are owned by guns, and therefore there is only one way to stop the mass shootings. It is to suffocate the businesses that make billions of dollars in profits off guns, to destroy the gun lobby, the death lobby, and the Republican Party that defends those lobbies and those businesses. And the only way to do that is an economic civil war. The blue states have all the money. They must starve the red states into submission, or another 600,000 Americans will be murdered in the next 10 to 12 years. That and more in the Wednesday Countdown. Stupid enough to demand a national divorce of the red states from the blue states while she is living in a blue state. But what do you expect? She was raised on a diet of Fox News. And now that Fox's true evil has been revealed in the Dominion lawsuit, and Fox's true evil has been revealed while Kevin McCarthy has turned over 41,000 hours of January 6th surveillance video to Tucker Carlson exclusively, so he can show the next insurrectionists how to avoid all those cameras and reach all those panic rooms, the time has now come. We must deplatform Fox News, and we must close down Fox News. All that and more in the Tuesday Countdown.
Foremost, the immediate answer that I have is that the only, let's just put it this way here. I did a video on the left and mental illness for reasons, very synonymous, and I mentioned in that video that the biggest stumbling block that the left would have is the fact that they have a higher propensity of mental illness, meaning that they're more than likely are going to have a higher propensity of being medicated, which also means that once you cut the medications off, withdrawal is going to set in. These people are going to go absolutely crazy and insane, and they're probably going to kill themselves off. So very, very smart thinking from a guy who was obviously Not exactly mentally. Now, gang, I'm not going to sit here and rail about Fox News. I know in the very, very first bit I did kind of touch on that and why it is that he's not exactly accurate on that front, because if you actually look into the Dominion lawsuit and all that stuff, I don't think I really need to explain that one. Don't worry about it. I'll leave links to it. The thing about a civil war between red states and blue states is that it's never going to happen. Okay, if anything was to ever occur, it would more than likely be some stuff going on inside blue cities. If that right there was the case, and I have said this on multiple occasions, by the way, YouTube, I am not advocating for anything, so this right here is just honest to God, unbiased commentary. Somebody's going to say this biased, but if you look at it more and more and more, you get numb to the idea of telling people that a national divorce or a national civil war is just never going to occur. And if you try to do an economic civil war, good luck with that, as I'll explain here in a second. What would more than likely occur is that it would be inside the cities, and it would, for the most part, be blue on blue, meaning it would be far left, radical leftist, or it would be, let's just say, Democrat of a certain color versus, I don't know, regular New York business Dem, regular New York Dem, just the normal moderate to conservative Democrat who still votes partyite. They would be the ones that would be enthralled in this type of ordeal, because there's not as many conservatives that live in these blue cities as you might would think. As a matter of fact, most of the conservatives are leaving the blue cities and they're heading to either red or purple states. Obviously, red flag laws in places like New Jersey, and something else too people need to understand is that the other day it was mentioned that there were 3 states in particular besides California, wink wink, it's New York, Connecticut, and New Jersey, where the money situation is just getting to the point where it's unsustainable, meaning that these states cannot even support themselves. Now, back in 2020, there was a little ordeal, kind of a dust-up between Mitch McConnell and some of the blue state governors and some of the blue city mayors, where they claimed that they were being forced to carry conservative states, and they were being forced to pay such and such amount of money, because apparently blue states do pay more in overall taxes than red states. However, there are very, very common sense reasons why that's the case. Blue states, of course, have much, much higher earners, much, much more wealthier people. They pay automatically a much, much higher tax bracket. Also, not to mention the fact that the higher the minimum wage is there, the more in taxes are going to be carried. So that right there kind of hurts their entire argument. Next thing is this right here. I actually went through, and don't worry, this will come up in a project here soon. There are actually a lot more elderly people per capita in these blue states. It's higher percentage in a lot of the red states, but the red states are much, much smaller as far as population is concerned. So therefore, there's going to be more tax dollars doled out in Social Security and Medicare right off the bat. The main thing that red states get as far as revenue, or at least as far as tax revenue is concerned, is the funding of military bases, which there are many of them. Okay, in North Carolina alone, where I live at, there's about 4 or 5. Let's see, you've got Lejeune, Cherry Point, Fort Bragg, you've got Seymour Johnson, you've actually got a heavy military presence here. And the same thing in the state of Texas, and of course the same thing in the state of Georgia, which I would argue is not really a blue state yet, even though it went blue in the last election. It only went blue by about 11,000 votes, and of course you have to get certain bases to go out and vote for the Republican. If anything, I would argue that it's just a good old-fashioned purple state, and I think we need a little bit more data to kind of see where that state's actually going to go electorally in the future. I don't think it's gone just yet. Same thing with Arizona. The thing is this right here. This whole premise of cutting off red states makes no sense. Another reason why it makes no sense is because, well, it's not even really red states. It's mostly red areas. If you actually go to New York State, you will see outside the city, outside of Buffalo, New York is actually pretty red, okay? Outside, now Connecticut's a little bit different, but if you go somewhere like, say, like California, for example, off the coast of California, it's actually pretty red. These red areas, by the way, is where a lot of your farms are, where a lot of your agriculture is, where a lot of your factories are. So red states are actually producing everything that blue states and blue cities would need. As I've said before, which is really just blue cities. Blue cities, blue areas for the most part are consumer areas, where red areas are for the most part producer areas. So if you want to try to do an economic civil war, go right ahead and do so. All the economic power of the things that you may or may not, or the things that you may need or will definitely need, is coming from the red states. All your agriculture, your cows, which then again, though, a lot of the left-wingers are going to vegetarian now. But even in that case right there, you would still need a lot of the plant life which comes from those red areas. So right on its face, an economic civil war makes absolutely no freaking sense, none whatsoever. If you're listening to Keith Olbermann, the best thing you can do is just get up and walk away. the mere fact that you're even listening to him makes you dumber and dumber every second of the day. And it probably makes you more and more paranoid as a person. The guy is obviously not well. He's obviously not healthy. When Osama bin Laden was killed, it was found out, it was discovered shortly after he was killed that he used to watch MSNBC religiously. The same guy behind 9/11 watched MSNBC religiously and continued to watch MSNBC until the day he died. His favorite journalist was Keith Olbermann. MSNBC has fired Keith Olbermann, I think, twice, mostly due to the fact that they think he is too radical, even though MSNBC, in my opinion, is too radical, okay? If you thought Joy Reid was bad, the person before Joy Reid that was really the one who was absolutely insane was obviously Keith Olbermann. Even his facial expression should tell you that this guy is obviously a nut. He is not well, and he probably needs to be in an institution or an asylum. This take from Keith Olbermann is absolutely crazy, but I don't know. I mean, if you want it, man, then hey, bring it the hell on, and let's just see exactly what happens. As I said before, YouTube, I'm not advocating or anything. I'm just providing good old-fashioned unbiased commentary. I'm telling you guys that one of your podcasters is obviously a little bit mentally irregular. And with that right there being said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and shut this video down on this note right here. Yes, we know Keith Olbermann is a nut, so I think that has already been answered. However, I do need to give you guys a bit of an update for this weekend. More than likely, there will not be a video out on Saturday. Yesterday, I took the time to actually go through the page and kind of square it away. You'll probably see that there are a lot of takes lumped up in one major playlist. It's called an old takes playlist. It's basically all my takes from 2021, 2022, and even the earliest takes are being put in one playlist for one reason and one reason only. Monetization is coming soon. It's one of the main reasons why I need you guys to go ahead and hit that like button, so that way we can go ahead and get this channel, go ahead and get this video through the algorithm, so that way people will subscribe, and hopefully you guys will do that. Only about 20% of you guys will watch the content or subscribe, so make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and also hit the notifications bell. More than likely, there'll probably be a video on Sunday. I hope to do it in a project. And as I mentioned before, there is a project section that, quite frankly, I do want to do here in the very, very near future, at least as far as explaining red states and blue states, kind of like a series that's going to be going through here. You'll probably see another piece that says educational and video essays. That right there is where takes like that are going to go. Now, guys, with that right there being said, make sure you guys hit that like button. It's all I ask for, so that way the video will actually take off in the algorithms. That way people will actually get this information, and people will eventually just stop watching this nut. Also hit that subscribe button. We're getting close to monetization. Also leave a comment in the comment section. That also helps out with the algorithm. Also, to go on top of that, if you disagree with what I got to say, please leave it in the comment section. I'd like to hear your thoughts, and I'll see you guys later.